Hello, Planet Earth. This episode of the Deep Thinkers podcast is brought to you by Bright Island Outreach. Bright Island Outreach is a nonprofit organization that is a group of dental professionals. They go down to the Dominican Republic multiple times a year, and there they see between 100 and 125 patients a day. They do education, hygiene, they do fillings, extractions, root canals, and dentures. So they have a wide variety of patients that they see, and they make sure that they are not just providing a one-time service for these people who need it, but they are actually following up with them and providing constant care for these people as well, who don't have the means to get care for their teeth on their own. Um, Bright Island Outreach uses mobile dental kits, and that's how they're able to see their 100 to 125 patients a day. There's many ways to get involved. You can go to the website brightislandoutreach.org, or you can um, buy a T-shirt. You can actually sign up and be a volunteer and go to the DR. Um, that would be an amazing experience. Or you can just offer money. Now, when you give Bright Island Outreach money, 100% of that goes to Bright Island, goes to the actual charity. Um, Dr. Eric is not taking any salaries from this. He has his own job. He's not like UNICEF, where the CEO of UNICEF makes 1.2 million a year. He's not like the United Way president, who gets 375,000 a year. Or how about the American Red Cross, who makes 651,000 a year? Yeah, Bright Island Outreach is a charity that you can trust. When you give your money to Bright Island Outreach, you know that the people who need it are getting it, and it's going to the cause that you believe it's going to. Thank you very much. This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Maracaba Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Andre Maracaba has been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 24 years. He's from Brazil originally. He moved to Arizona 7 years ago and has been coaching at Power MMA until it recently shut its doors. Andre is an excellent coach and a great human. I highly recommend anybody who wants to get involved in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu to reach out to him. His last name is spelled Maracaba, and he's on Facebook. You can either reach out to him personally or like his Maracaba BJJ group. 2017 was a very good year for Andre's team. It was the first time he ever took the state championship in both the kids and adults. So he's who I train with, and he's my instructor. He's my friend, and he is an excellent coach and an excellent human. If you have kids, Andre is an excellent kids coach. He's also great with adults. If you're looking for a new gym, if you're experienced, um, it's great to come. If you're totally rookie, totally green, have never done jujitsu before, that's fine too. That pretty much my case. I had had a little bit of experience with it, but not for 20 years, and definitely not enough that I could call on and have not enough to give me a head start in anything. But I'm loving it. Andre's a great coach, and this episode of this podcast is brought to you by Maracaba BJJ. This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Crandall Pest Control. Crandall Pest Control is a Arizona-based business. They operate in the Phoenix metro area, so East Valley, West Valley, all over the place. They were founded in 2002, so they were able to make it through the 2008 financial crisis that crushed so many small businesses. They specialize in scorpions, but they also do a lot of termite jobs. They do bee removal, they do rodents, general pest, and also weed control. So if you've got some unwanted weeds popping up in your driveway or things like that, when your bug guy comes over, he can take care of those as well. Now, they have a total of 36 years experience combined within their crew. One of the things they do is they have a 7-step service plan. First one is they evaluate the customer's needs. So they being professionals, know how to treat things and how to look at things. You, as the customer, you know what the problem is. So you show them the problem, they evaluate it, and then they know how to attack it. The second step is they knock down the spider webs. The third step is they dust the block walls, cracks, and crevices. Now, they do this with a scorpion dust, but also a general pest dust. A lot of bugs like to hide out in these small cracks and crevices, so they're proactive and they go after them with a dust. Um, Step four, they dust the entry points of the home. Whenever I go to someone's house and they have pesticide laid out, I can always tell if it's a professional or if it's an amateur that did it. An amateur will dump the powder everywhere, and it's like a trail leading around the home. Um, with a professional, they know exactly where to dust. So generally, you just see like a little tiny dust mark in the corners of the doors and maybe somewhere else. But definitely looks nicer. A lot less poison laying around on your home. So that's nice as well. Step five is they spray the fence line, walkways, and other bordering areas. Step six, they spray the perimeter of your home. And step seven, they granulate problem areas. So if you have a specific spot of your lawn where ants are always popping up, or an area in your home that the crickets are just going crazy, they can also lay a granule down there um, to help further with those problems. So you can reach them at crandallpest.com, or you can call them at 480-818-0063. Please bear in mind that they operate within the state of Arizona. All right. Thank you very much. Hello, Planet Earth. Just a few items of housekeeping before we dive into the Jake Watson podcast. I know you are all interested in hearing that, as well you should be. It was a lot of fun to film and edit, and hopefully you have as much fun listening to it as I did creating it. Jake was victorious in his fight to win. I was not able to make it. I had a close friend whose birthday it was that weekend at the last minute decided that he wanted us all to go to Mexico. And it's very hard to turn down trips to Rocky Point, particularly when you're staying in Bella Serena. So I had a great time, and looks like Jake had an excellent time too. He didn't need me there, he won anyway. So I'll be at the next one. But just to let you all know, in case you were wondering, Jake did win, but I was not present. Also, Matt Hughes has woken up and is showing signs of improvement. I'd like to extend some support and love to the Hughes family. Hopefully, he makes a speedy and full recovery. But it is good to know that he is waking up and improving. I give you Jake Watson.
Hello, Planet Earth. I am sitting here today with my guest, Jake Watson.
Yo.
Jake Watson is a jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's not the head coach. We both are in the Andre Maracaba system.
Yes, sir.
There's one other coach, and Jake is in the top two coaches there, the head three of the people there at the gym, I would say. Jake, how long have you been doing jiu-jitsu?
I've been doing jiu-jitsu for around 11 years. I don't like to count the first 3 because I did start in Taekwondo and I did it 1 day a week.
Right.
But I kind of taught my instructor a couple moves, so I kind of was like, okay, something's not right here.
Yeah.
But I started Taekwondo when I was 8 years old. I saw this UFC fight, UFC 65. I don't know if you remember that. It was
Which
Matt
one?
Hughes. It was the one where George St. Pierre KO'd Matt Hughes, the head.
Okay,
the head
okay.
kick. By the way, my thoughts go out to Matt Hughes and his family. He just got
Absolutely.
stuck in the train wreck just
Yeah,
now. So.
that's a horrible tragedy, and absolutely we wish Matt Hughes a speedy and full recovery.
Exactly. But going back to when I started, I did it for 3 years. I got my black belt at age like 12, which is indicative of
Right.
karate and like in Taekwondo, Americanized karate anyway. And then I realized that I wanted to do mixed martial arts because at the start I was like, Dad, I want to be an MMA fighter. I want to do that. And then he put me in Taekwondo because it's a good foundation. I believe
Right.
that if you think about life in a sequence, I started out in Taekwondo, and then I met Clayton, and then I met Andre. So I went to the Lions Den because I actually fought the coach that you were talking about, Clayton Carpenter, at a Desert Quest tournament.
Yeah, Clayton is the other coach. It's Andre, Clayton, and Jake are are the three main coaches at Maracaba BJJ.
Clayton and I are brown belts, and Andre is faixa preta, the black belt.
Yes.
So I met Clayton, and I remember we were both around the same size body wise, and we both had bald heads that looked like they were way too big for our bodies. And I fought him, and it was you can find the fight on YouTube. Our buddy Chris Magic posted it. He was actually there, which is a small world. And Clayton, he immediately throws me to the ground with a judo throw. I've never been judo thrown in my life, so the wind is like all knocked out of my skinny body. And I catch him in an upside down triangle, and I go for this arm bar. And his arm is straight, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to catch him. And then he pulls out, and then he gets me in an arm bar, he taps me out, and I was so mad. I slapped my hand on the mat. And I'm just so, and he like raises my hand, which at the time I was like, yeah, whatever, kid, like you're mean, like I don't even like you. But I realized later he was just trying to be, it was a good fight, like it was a close
Clayton's
fight.
a solid guy.
Very, very nice guy. And through that event, he followed me. I quit like that day. I was like a little guy. I was like, I quit. I don't do it no more. And my dad was like, whatever. Like he knew I was gonna, that lasted the whole car ride home. I quit for a whole 30 minutes. It was my retirement.
Nice.
I was like Brett Favre. And Clayton follows me out of the arena, and he's like, hey man, we need to train. Like you should come train with me. And at the time I'm still like that bitter, like, man, get away. Like I was like, yeah, cool, whatever.
I want to see you right now. You beat me.
Yeah, you beat me up. Like go away. Like I already don't want to think about. I want to forget who you are right now. You know what I mean? But yeah, and then I eventually him and his dad and my dad exchanged numbers, and I remember I had like this little Migo phone. Eventually I was like cool with Clayton because we fought again in another tournament and I lost again, but it was closer that time. I had this little Migo phone. I remember these phones had 4 buttons on it and one red phone
emergency
symbol for emergencies. No, it was literally 1, 2, 3, 4. One had a prepackaged number into it and vice versa.
Yeah.
And 1 was my dad, 2 was my mom, 3 was my brother, and 4 was Clayton.
Nice.
And I was like, dialed 4 one day. I was like, yo, what up, dude? He was like, hey, man, you gonna come train with me yet? That lasted for like a whole year. I got my black belt, and I quit karate. I was like, all right, I got my black belt. I don't want to do that no more. I'm going to go do MMA. And I jumped full hard in like 6 days a week jiu-jitsu. And then that started this last, like 8 years. I did about 1.5 years with Carlos Farias, who's another black belt in Arizona. He has been competing a lot. And he's my first coach. And then Andre came, and then we moved Andre to Power MMA. 5 years or 6 years there, and here we are. Met Mr. Jesse Smith.
Oh, man, I walked into Power MMA and signed up on February 1st of 2017, so early on this year. And the first person I saw was Lynn. And Lynn is 6'8". He's bald. He's about 280. He's probably around 15 to 20% body fat. A genetic freak, and I was like, all right, this looks promising.
Yeah.
I looked around and saw all the guys with cauliflower ears, and I was like, all right, this is probably going to be the right gym.
Yeah, Lynn is that's not a good example to go off of if you walk into a gym. He is a gigantic human being. I am 6'4", and I feel like a tiny puppy next to this guy.
Gentle giant though, super nice guy.
Oh yeah,
like not a bullying bone in his body, which is great for guys that size.
Yeah, it's usually, I mean, if you feel like, you're going to be a victim of something horrible whenever you're around the guy, it's not a good sign. But you're going to be the victim of a lot of kindness.
And positivity.
Yeah. He's really, really, really humble. And that's a cool thing about jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, is you're going to meet so many people who are just, like, I feel like jiu-jitsu weeds out all the meanness. Like, you're not going to, a guy who comes in and he's, like, in there for the wrong reasons, he's going to get weeded out immediately. Like,
pretty quick.
It's a humbling experience. It's very humbling.
The very nature of it is meant to kill your ego and humble you. But at the same time, the reason we all study jiu-jitsu is because it's so powerful.
Yeah.
The reason we study it is because I know that if I practice this and I get in a position with someone who's bigger and stronger and more athletic than me, I can still come away the conqueror because these techniques are so powerful.
Yes.
And so that's why we're all there. And so when it happens on the other side of you, you can't really be too mad because you're there for that exact same reason.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, and what's cool is there's, we were talking about getting your butt kicked by a girl. We've had like a lot of these guys, and obviously we're not going to pair like a big guy up with one of our more technical girls. Like there's a girl named Mika who is Clayton's sister. And we have seen so many times like these guys come in and they're like, yo, Like, give me, I trained Kempo and I am a black belt in Kempo, or, oh yeah, I used to wrestle in college. And these guys are like, they're smaller. They're like, maybe 5'8". And we're just like, yeah, go with Mika. And he's like, no, I want your toughest guy. I'm like, yeah, go with Mika.
Yeah,
And then he
fine,
just gets
fine.
just gets mollywopped by this girl
Yeah.
who is like this little girl who doesn't even look harmless. But then she goes and she puts her belt on and ties her gi up, and you're like, oh wait, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
Getting tapped out 5 times.
Obviously, it varies from gym to gym.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to Maracaba BJJ and you see someone there with a blue, a purple, or a brown belt, it doesn't matter what they look like. Andre does not give out belts unless you've earned it and earned it again. And so, I mean, I remember going to roll with people and thinking, like, yeah, they got a blue belt on, but this guy doesn't look like a very imposing or very threatening individual. And I was just wrong. I got my butt kicked in new and creative ways. Like, every now and again, I'll get, like, I'll roll with a higher belt, and they'll throw out some move I've never seen. I'm like, what was that?
Yeah.
I've never even seen that before. I didn't even feel it coming. Excuse me. But yeah, it's when you're rolling with a higher belt at our gym, they've got there because they're real.
Mm-hmm. It's very fortunate to have a coach like Andre. It's a very and it just goes to show, like, there's a lot of other martial art programs out there, and I don't want to disparage Taekwondo, but it is where it's more of a money thing. And this is just my opinion. I did Taekwondo. I love what it did for me. I think it's very good for discipline, but you're not gonna learn to defend yourself. You're not gonna I don't believe you're gonna get the same out of it as you will from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This is real stuff. Like what Jesse just said, when he is getting tapped out in new and creative ways, it's the more you learn, the more you know how to manipulate the human body and to manipulate your own body to fit your advantages. Not everyone is flexible. Not everyone is athletic, but you can still see, I've seen it many times, some guy that doesn't look athletic, doesn't look flexible, just knows how to use his body better than the other guy and is able to win. And it's more freeform. It's like chess. I've heard many people compare Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to chess.
I love that comparison. I've heard it compared to chess as if each chess piece represents a different position that your body is in on the ground, and each chess piece is able to attack in 15 to 20 different ways.
Yeah, and I like to think of it as the punish game. So, like, if your opponent, like, when I grapple with Andre, I know now, now I know this, but back then I didn't. When I was younger and I would grapple with my coach, Andre, it always seemed like he was 2 steps ahead. One, I realize now is because he's taught me everything, so he knows what I want. He knows what I like. He knows what, he taught me it. It's like, he is my master. You know what I mean? He taught me everything. So when I'm here in these positions, I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I make a mistake, how bad in a position am I going to be to get punished for that mistake? In chess, make a bad move, you might get that chess piece taken away. If you move your bishop in the wrong place, that queen's coming. You know what I mean? And in jiu-jitsu, it's the same thing. It's like reaching, just like we talked about earlier. It's if you reach too far, that might be an opportunity for someone to get an underhook and pass your guard. And then off that pass, what else is going to happen? You have to be ready to deal with the punish. And I think that translates into any competitive anything, whether it be a sport, an e-sport, anything. The punish game is so it's so hard to wrap your head around, but once you wrap your head around it, it is gold.
Sam Harris has a blog called The Pleasure of Drowning, where he compares jiu-jitsu to, when you're on the receiving end of it, he compares it to being killed over and over again and being brought back to life through drowning. He also then compares it to being taught how to swim. And then lastly, he compares it to you getting the knowledge to drown other people. And there's an addiction that comes with that. These moves are such that if you get me in a baseball choke and I don't tap out, and it's a real scenario, it's not just a competition or a free roll, I will die of suffocation. Like, it's a choke.
Yeah.
If you get me in an arm bar and I don't tap, and it's a fight to the death, you will break my arm, and then you will come and choke me until I die. So to compare it to being drowned and being brought back to life is not that far of an exaggeration, because Jake may not remember this because he's been at such a high level for a long time, but when you're just getting owned by someone and you're like every way you turn, they're just getting on your side, they're flattening you back out. You're grabbing this arm and you're pulling it in tight, and they're ripping it away, and then next thing you know, they've swept you, and like it literally feels like you're drowning.
It's a little bit of frustration there, Jesse.
Yeah, well, it's just like you're like because like when you're trying to swim, like any way you turn, you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to grapple with someone who just owns you, say they're 2 belts ahead of you, anywhere you turn, they're like, nope, bitch, you're coming back this way. Nope, I know what you're doing. I know exactly what that sets up, and you're as helpless as if you don't know how to swim.
Yeah.
At the same time, when you're rolling with someone your level or someone who is maybe not quite as advanced or as experienced with you, it's almost as nonsensical why they don't finish these moves and why they don't attack this way as it is looking at someone who's drowning and saying, why don't they swim? Like you can, every now and again, a wrestler will come in, and you can tell they're a wrestler because they've got great back and forth skills. You're not really going to move them that much. They can move in the mix, but they don't know how to finish anything.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what it is. They can swim, but they can't swim fast in the drowning scenario. But
or perhaps they can float.
Yeah, they can float, but they don't have a strong stroke.
Yes.
So, but yeah, it's definitely an addiction. And what's cool about our gym too is we've got everybody in there with different goals. Jake is a purist with jiu-jitsu. He's a competitor. Let's congratulate him for a second. Jake just recently took 3rd in the world for his weight class, his belt level, and his age. I'm going to toot Jake's horn a little bit here because he won't. Jake was the only North American to place in the top 3.
Now I gotta toot the horn, but not the North American, but just the American.
Just the American.
Because there were some Canadians.
Okay. As far as what I was told, the next North American to place took 32nd. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Pretty impressive. Yeah, Jake is laser-guided focus on jiu-jitsu. Now, Clayton is forging his way in the MMA path.
Yes. Future guest on the show.
Yes, yeah, and Clayton you will become familiar with as well as Andre in the future also. There's guys like me who just want to get a little piss and vinegar out and get a good workout in. There's guys who literally will be professional fighters if they're not already. There's guys that coach other jiu-jitsu groups and things like that. There's literally everybody everywhere from people who all they want to do with their life is do jiu-jitsu professionally, and along with the hobbyist that comes once or twice a week. And that's good because when you're wanting to learn, even if you're just wanting to be a hobbyist, it's good to work with and practice with people who are either the best or who are aspiring to be the best.
I'm incredibly blessed to have what I have. I'm 19 years old. All right, I don't have a job. I have been just working as hard as I can to secure a future for myself through jiu-jitsu. All I want to do every day is wake up and I want to put a gi on. I don't want to have to say I go to work. I want to say I'm just going to the gym. Like, and if I make money doing it, like, man, that's a life. And Andre has that. I want what Andre has. I want that. And that, like, I have really it's my parents. I am incredibly fortunate to have the support that I do. Not only my friends and the people at the gym who support me, but my parents, they give me like everything, man. They work so hard for me to have what I have, and I just try to help. I just try to work as hard as I can, do whatever they say, because it's like, man, I have it so much better than I could have it. I have 3 brothers, and 2 of them went off and did drugs, and I'm sitting here thinking, and I've heard this analogy where it's like you can either learn from your own mistakes or from others' mistakes.
Right.
I very, very much prefer the latter because, man, it has been a very good life for me, and I've recently been promoted to brown belt, and it has been like I have nothing to worry about right now. I graduated from high school. I am the only one of my brothers to graduate from high school. It's like I feel like I'm making the right decisions, and I love that my parents are so supportive in helping me make the right decisions. I'm so incredibly blessed for that.
Well, and whether it's what you were born with or whether it's been jujitsu, something has allowed you to have your ego in check to the point where you're like, I will listen to my parents. So many people are born with good parents and just don't take advantage of it. I won the adoption lottery with my parents. I'm one of 5 kids. All of us were adopted from different families. My parents are amazing people. I have 2 sisters that got heavily into drugs. One has cleaned up her life and is doing great. The other one lives a very dangerous lifestyle up in Idaho, northern Idaho, and so I understand what it's like to be brought up in a good environment, to kind of pick your own path, but also be willing to take direction. And I understand what it's like to have people close in you make those bad decisions, to learn from those things. A lesson learned through the mistakes of a loved one hits almost as close to home as if you've made that mistake yourself.
Yeah, that's what I felt anyway, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that.
I think another thing that keeps my ego in check is Andre and jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is a very push and pull. Staying on the topic, jiu-jitsu is everything.
It's easy to talk about it for a long
very
periods of
easy
time.
to talk about, and like I think it can relate directly to your life. I look at life through jiu-jitsu. I look at jiu-jitsu through life. It's more than just a sport, and that's the cool thing about anything. Like if you can just take it and internalize everything you learn, it really does become a metaphor for your entire existence, in my opinion. I look at everything through jiu-jitsu.
I know for me, and my friends listening to this will probably laugh when I say this, but maybe I might be known to have some anger issues from time to time. I might lose it here and there. Before jiu-jitsu, in any typical day at work, just with stress and the grind, and for those of you who aren't in Arizona, you won't understand this, but the heat. The heat is something that if you're having a shitty day, it'll just make it a little worse.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing that sucks, the heat just kind of comes along and just kind of knocks your drink out of your hand. But I would wake up, and if a 0 is I'm super happy, I'm chill, I'm kicking back. A 0, that's where I'm at 0. A 10 is I'm flipping out. I'm talking shit. I'm writing checks with my mouth that my body will not be able to cash. Yeah. I'm making mistakes that will have ramification. It's a problem at 10.
Yeah.
So say I wake up, I'm at like a 2 or a 3. By the time I get home from work, I'm like at a 7 or an 8.
Oof. 2 more notches.
I play in my garden a little bit, maybe smoke a little herb. I get down to like a 5 or a 4. By the time I go to bed, I'm at 3. Wake up the next morning at 2. When I go to jiu-jitsu, when I'm done with that class, I'm at 0.
That's good.
Because I've sat there, and when you're angry and you're fighting and you're in combat because of emotion, you're exerting so much physical energy, so much emotional energy, just so much everything that you get it out. And jiu-jitsu is such that you can train hard. I mean, you can roll at 95% and stop it on a dime. So you can have very little risk to injury if you're present and you know where things are going and you call it out. Some people want to hold it on a little longer, especially if you're competing. I get it. You want to build up that muscle, that pain tolerance, but you can stop it whenever you want. So you can literally very closely simulate a real fight situation, at least as far as endorphins and exerted energy go.
Yeah. And
you get it out, and it's absolutely safe. Your boys on the mat, your friends on the mat, your brothers and sisters that train with you, get it. And
I feel you.
When you're done, you're just like, man, I'm too. It's like you just got in a fight and squashed a beef.
Yeah. I'm too tired
with yourself.
To be
angry. So for me, it's been better than any type of medication, any type of talk therapy. Is just to go and get on the mat. Flex that muscle, that mental muscle, that is going to check your ego and take you down a couple notches where we all need to be. But that for me has been the biggest benefit, is just the mental clarity. It's almost like a cleansing effect. When you're in a bad mood and you go out there and you get a good roll in and you're going, like, he sweeps you, you sweep him, it's going back and forth. And then by the end of it, you're just like, whew, like,
I did it.
Like, whew, that was the baptism of fire, and I'm through it now.
Yeah. I used to I would get very, very frustrated because I am a perfectionist, and I knew when after, I think it was when I hit 16 and a half, I think it was, after like halfway through my blue belt, I was like, I just want to do this. This is all I want to do.
Yeah.
Because before that, I was I was like, I'm doing everything. I'm doing MMA and all that. It was about when I was 16 and a half, almost 17, that I quit everything but jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And I just realized that this is what I want to do, so I need to be the best at it. Like, everything in life that I've ever done, whether it's play video games or do something better than my brother, write handwriting, I had to be the best at it, better than everybody that I knew. You know what I mean? Which is, it could be a fault, but for me now it's a healthy fault because I don't take it the same way that I'm about to tell you. I would get, if I got tapped out by Andre as a blue belt, I would go home and I would cry and I would just get so upset because I'm like, what is he doing better than me? And I would obsess over it. And I would go to tournaments and I would do well, and if I lost in the final, I would obsess over it and I'd get so upset. Like, I wouldn't cry anymore because I told Andre I'd get past that stage at that point, because I would cry after losing. And then I just...
Well, you were a little kid.
I was a little kid,
Yeah.
but man, I still cry after I lose. If it's a
tough,
hard
man.
loss,
It's tough.
I cry.
Yeah.
But because Worlds wasn't a hard loss. Worlds was like, man, that guy was really good. I fought really well the whole day.
You did pretty awesome before you lost.
I was like, that was a close fight. I was
Yeah.
like, man, this guy just edged it out. You know what I mean? But Pan Am's was a hard loss because I just went out there and I just got destroyed. And I was like, man, that was so hard. But back then I talked to Andre about it. I was like, man, Andre, I just get so upset. Like, I just hate losing. Like, I would lose to Matt Zilla, I would lose to Eddie, and I was like, what do I do? Like, how do I not think about this in the same way? He's like, you just gotta relax, man. Like, are you gonna do this every day for the rest of your life? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you cannot live thinking like that the rest of your life. You're gonna go crazy. Like, you're gonna hate it. Like, you gotta learn to love it and just like, hey, man, if I lose, I lost because I gotta work on that. Like, just work on it. Have fun with it. It's like anything else. It's like if you suck at math, go study math and get better at math.
Yeah. If I lose to Eddie or Matt Zilla, I'm just like, well, I saw that coming.
It's like, well, probably supposed to happen. But if you win, you're like, oh, whoa, I did it.
I had a good roll today with a higher belt, a purple belt, and I didn't tap him, but he didn't tap me.
Good.
And it was one of those things where, actually he did tap at the end, but it wasn't a submission. It was because I was so heavy on top. At the end, he was like, I just can't fight you anymore. So it's what I call a self-mercy tap in my own, like you're not beating me, but I'm giving myself some mercy. I'm tired of you crushing me for the time being, but yeah, as a white belt, those are the victories right there. Like not getting tapped by someone who owns you every time, fighting through a sweep, getting swept and then taking it back. Those are the things that when you have those moments, because the first couple times you try to do moves, you're not going to get them, and then the first couple times you try it, you might have almost got it and then it doesn't work, but the first time it works, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And celebrate that. Like, remember how that feels. For me, there's a clear pecking order, and there's certain etiquette you have in jiu-jitsu, and especially in my first couple months, I was horrible with it. I swept a guy. I'm like, yes, it worked. And everyone's like looking over at me like, no, I guess you're not supposed to do that.
Look at this guy.
But yeah, it's definitely it's cool because you learn etiquette, you learn a pecking order, you learn respect for people who maybe you don't necessarily respect them in the beginning, but you're going to learn that respect one way or another. You're either going to do it because you choose to, or they're going to dominate you on the mat, and you'll learn that respect that way. Yeah, best sport ever.
Of all, I kind of noticed the way we've been talking about jiu-jitsu may make it sound like it's like a really hardcore, like almost, I want to say movie style martial art where it's like a Japanese pecking order. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like Really, it's for everybody. You
Yeah.
just gotta go. One thing is like respect the coach, respect your peers. Boom.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Everything else will come in time.
Everything else will come in time. Don't be disrespectful. It's just like you're in school. That's it. You know what I mean? There's gonna be different people who like different things. You're gonna hang out with more people other than others. You're gonna work with everybody. Rolling, you can go at your own speed. You don't need to like go hard. There are people who like me and like a guy at our gym named John Pfeiffer and like Jesse who want to get in there and get on the grind and let's go. Let's chisel this. Let's chisel.
Yeah, John Pfeiffer is an animal.
He's an animal, and he is another guy who's like looks very intimidating, seems very intimidating, but is a sweetheart.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing about jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, is like it's for everybody. It's not you do it at your own pace. You get promoted at a pace that the instructor finds best. Not everyone's gonna be held like I'm not gonna be held to the same standard as Eddie. We're both brown belts, not held to the same standard because we're not doing for the same thing.
Right.
I'm not held to the same standard as Clayton, not doing the same thing. You not gonna be the same standard as, let's say, someone else, even who has the same lifestyle as you, just because Andre understands. And that's the cool thing about Andre is he develops a personal relationship with each and every one of his students. And I'm not lying, there's like 170 plus Andre Maracaba students, and he literally knows every single one. And that's what it takes to be an instructor, in my opinion. You're gonna see a lot of instructors who go out there and they're teaching, but it's kind of like, hey, I'm teaching to the masses. Like it's not, they would get the same effect, in my opinion, if they went out and they coached online and just kind of gave a video. Because that's the kind of relationship they're building. They're building a relationship where it's like, hey, I'm the coach, I teach, that's it. Andre will go to barbecues. Andre will go and he'll relate with the kids. He'll get to know all the kids of the parents. Like, I mean, we have a really good thing here because of Andre. And that's
Andre is the man. And what I love about the environment that he has fostered and created at his gym is you'll have entire families there, wife, husband, kids, all doing jiu-jitsu. And some with different goals than others, even within that little family. And then you have single guys. And then you have guys who, like Jake, who are killers and just all they want to do is jiu-jitsu. But it's all part of the same community, you know? I love it when I see a family come into the gym. You know, like the Martins or the Ramseys, they've got all their kids in it.
Yeah.
It's great, you know?
I think that jiu-jitsu is just what more can I say? I don't know. Jiu-jitsu is it makes me actually smile whenever someone asks me about it at school. I even got people from school like this Friday's Fight to Win. People are like, "Yo, when are you gonna fight again?" For those of you who don't know, if you're a fan of jiu-jitsu and you're listening to this and you've heard of Fight to Win, but you've never been to Fight to Win, Fight to Win is the UFC of jiu-jitsu right now anyway. Well, I wouldn't say the UFC. It's like an MMA fight show for jiu-jitsu. You're going to go on Friday, right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay.
It'll be my first one, too.
It's amazing, dude.
Yeah,
they
I'm
go
excited.
like there's smoke and there's a walkway and there's a big stage with lights on it. Everything else is dark. It's like
Nice.
And it's just a focus on the fighters. It's streamed on Flow Grappling to 50K plus viewers.
Nice.
And you're just like, they're like, and now fighting out of the red corner, Jay Watson. And there's like my song starts playing. It's like colors, colors, and then I'm walking out. Oh, and the fans are like, oh my God, it's Jake. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy. I've had 3 fights that promotion, and I still freak out every time I'm about to do it. I'm like, oh, who wants
That's gotta
tickets?
be
Who
a
wants to
rush.
go? It's such a rush. And then you go out there and you win in front of everybody, all your family, all your friends, all your enemies' friends, not enemy, opponent's friends and family. Sorry, I didn't mean enemy. Too much video games.
Probably a case-by-case scenario in some cases, but typically just an opponent.
Mostly. I've never, it's very rare that I compete against someone I don't like.
Right.
And that's another thing. When you go to compete, like everybody in jiu-jitsu who is, once again, I believe I already said this, but everybody who does jiu-jitsu and sticks with jiu-jitsu and gets their belt higher, they're usually not mean. They're usually pretty cool people because those mean people either they fix themselves or they leave. It's
Yeah.
You're not going to find a mean guy who's a purple belt unless they go to a gym that fosters that kind of behavior. So very rarely in Arizona or in the IBJJF World Circuit will you find somebody who is a complete douche, because it's like, how are you going to be, a top level competitor and have that mindset?
Right. I heard on a podcast once. I wish I could quote the actual study and not the podcast quoting the study. I don't have the data in front of me, but there have been studies done that show that if you practice jiu-jitsu, you are less likely to act out in violence in an intense situation. And I believe it, man. You learn, like, by the end of a roll, if I was mad about something before, and it might have been legitimate, by the end of it, I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, like, I just don't care. Like, I'm tired. I need food. And I want to go sleep. You know?
I'm tired. I need food.
But yeah, you know, and I tell everybody that I know to get into jiu-jitsu. If you have a daughter and you're concerned about her growing up and wanting to take care of herself, jiu-jitsu. If you're out of shape and overweight and you want something that will keep you focused on working out, jiu-jitsu. If you're an older person, you're like, oh, I'm 50 plus, I don't think, you know, maybe I missed my boat. Just do it. Just do it. You may not be a world champion, but if you go for, you know, a couple years and you commit yourself, you'll get your blue belt. If you really put in the effort. And that right there is an amazing accomplishment. One video I'd like to direct people to, if you're thinking about doing jiu-jitsu, there's a video that the Gracies put out on YouTube called What is a Jiu-Jitsu Blue Belt? And it's about 45 minutes, but it paints it out fully. And if you like that video, there's another one called Surviving Your First 6 Months of Jiu-Jitsu. And if you can watch both those 45-minute videos, you will have a clear idea of what you're getting yourself into. And if at that point you still are just as curious about it after the videos as you were going into it, the videos might put you off. You know, jiu-jitsu is it's a humbling experience. You have to be able to let your ego get beat up a little bit in order to make it through your first day, even. Mm-hmm. But if you watch those videos and you're still curious, do it. If you're in Arizona, you know, reach out to Andre Maracaba on Facebook. I think he's a great coach. I've had another coach. He was a good coach too. But if you want to learn jiu-jitsu or competition jiu-jitsu, Andre is a great coach, and he is a great family coach.
And I want to actually say that we do incorporate actually the Gracie Humaita self-defense system, which is basically what jiu-jitsu was founded upon. We do incorporate that at Maracaba BJJ. We don't just do competition. We are more competition leaned, but we do integrate real life situation jiu-jitsu, which I believe is very important as well. I'm gonna second what Jesse said. Jiu-jitsu is an amazing sport. I think that if you wanna do the easiest thing, watch those videos. And regardless if you want to watch those videos or not, just leave your ego at the door. It's way easier. Yeah. I definitely developed an ego over time. I have been competing since I was 8 years old. And now, 11 years later. So, there was a period of time, a nice chunk, a juicy chunk of time where I was just on fire. I was winning everything. And eventually, this is the moment where, this is right before I quit MMA. And Andre noticed, because Andre notices everything, because Andre has eyes on the front, back, and sideways of his skull. So he came to me. And I used to, make up excuses to why I didn't want to train and stuff like that. And one time, it was after class, I left, and I was leaving, and Matt was doing drills, Matt Zilla, who is, actually, Matthew Gillette, sorry, Matt, if you're listening to this, doesn't like being called Matt Zilla.
He doesn't?
I guess not. I don't know. I can't go too far into it because I don't know.
Name.
Well, I don't know why he did that. But you know what? I mean, we're not going to go too far into it because I don't know the full details of the Mattzilla conspiracy. But I will say Matthew Gillette, who is has not stopped working as hard as he's working the entire time he's been training, and he's a 3-stripe brown belt. But
Matt's an animal.
He's an animal. Another, he's just a machine that just won't stop working.
And a very good quality of person, I will say as well.
That goes without saying. He does jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? But he was working his butt off after class. So he was putting in more time after his time was already done. He went to the side and did more drills and more rolling. And he had a cut on his head, he bandaged up. Literally the worst scenario for me to get chewed out by Andre and have him use as an example. Because I'm all not sweating and he's over here dying, just trying to, improve.
Just get more reps in.
Yeah. Exactly. And Andre noticed that I was not working very hard. And to be honest, I wasn't very motivated, and I know that because I got my butt chewed out so hard it turned me honest forever. But he told me, he's like, "Hey man, why are you leaving?" And I was like, "I'm gonna go home." And he's like, you know what? Because No-Gi Worlds was coming up in like, I want to say 4 months, right?
For 1 second,
Yes.
jiu-jitsu is more or less, it's a lot like wrestling. But you do wear the karate kimono, so to speak. It's a jiu-jitsu gi or a kimono, but people will recognize it as the karate outfit. There's no kicking and punching in jiu-jitsu. It's all ground fighting. But there's two types. There's gi and there's no gi, where you just wear essentially tight clothes, shorts and shirt. Or there's long sleeve short. There's different types of no gi clothing. So when Jake says no gi, he literally means without a gi, like no gi competition.
Not naked.
Right.
No, we're not pancration in the, 1300 BC or whatever. But, yep, shorts, rash guard. That's what the legal equipment is. But No-Gi Worlds was in 4 months at this time. And Andre said to me, he said, you know what? And there was no big tournaments coming up before that, except for Pan Am's. Pan Am's, wait, let me think. Pan Am's was in March. No-Gi Worlds was in November at the time. I think that this was after Pan Am's. And Pan Am's is a huge tournament, and I got first place, right? I won my 3 fights to get to the grand finals, won. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just won Pan Am's. Like, I just beat a kid from Brazil, 2 kids from Brazil, and I just ran through my competition. I submitted everybody. And I was astounded that I even did that. Did not the right thing, and I went into this period of just like, I won Pan Am's. Like the Conor McGregor walk everywhere I was going, you know what I mean? And Andre told me, he's like, listen, he's like, you're probably not even going to win Worlds. And I was like, and it gets worse, trust me. You just made that face. Jesse just made a face of, okay. But it gets worse. And Andre is a very brutally honest person. He does not have a lying bone in his body to this day. And he's turned me into that kind of person as well. But he told me, he's like, I don't even want you to win. He's like, I hope you don't. He's like, you make people who work hard look bad because you win based off your talent. You don't even work hard. He's like, imagine if you worked hard. You would win everything. He's like, but you don't, and you won't. And I was just like, whoa, it's my hero chewing me out, you know what I mean? And then to put the icing on that already horribly prepared cake, he calls Matt over, and Matt is like, again, he has the headband on with the cut, he's sweating, his gi's all wet, and he's like, you see this guy? I hope this guy wins everything. He's like, I hope he wins everything he prepares for because he wants to win. He cares about this. He's like, you don't care about this. And I took a week off the gym, needless to say.
Wow,
because
that's a long time for you.
It was, back then, it wasn't that long because I, again, wasn't very focused.
Yeah.
But I just it didn't hit me really hard until my mom came pick me up. She's like, how's your day at the gym? I said it was good, not wanting to, talk about it.
Yeah.
And then I got home and I just remember just crying so hard. And it may sound like this is like, man, Andre's kind of mean. That was the best thing he could have ever done for me, is be honest with me. And that is so amazing that he did that. And I wish I wish it wasn't awkward to thank him for that. So I guess if he's listening, thank you so much for that, because that is the reason why I am doing what I'm doing. But I woke up and I took a week off and I was like, man, do I even want to do this anymore? I was so close to quitting. But then I thought, no, I'm going to prove Andre wrong. And that attitude of proving Andre wrong went from that to proving myself wrong. That,
right.
I wasn't working hard. Now I work
super hard.
I work tirelessly.
Yeah.
Just trying to become the best. And even at that, I got third at Worlds, and that's I'm still hungry. I got third in the whole world. I had this guy following me around with a camera 2 inches from my face. Whoa, this American's in top 60 of the bracket. I'm just okay, dude, go away. And I'm just thinking to myself, I am now providing a fan base for myself, and I'm getting more popular, and it's all due to this one idea that I believe I can be something, due to Andre telling me to.
You and Clayton put in a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Typically, they're there in the morning class and the afternoon class, and they're teaching the kids class. And when you say, oh, they're teaching the kids class, not a big deal. But no, what they're doing, the moves that the kids learn are the exact same moves that the adults learn.
Just different.
Just simplified a little bit.
Yeah.
So when Jake is showing these kids what to do, he'll get 5 to 6 reps of that move that he's showing those kids. He shows him another move. He gets in there 5 to 6 reps of that. So you times that by 3, which is typically 3. He's in the gym for teaching 2 to 3 hours a day. That's an extra 20 reps a day he got on these moves. And like any sport, fundamentals. The reason Clayton's so good is because he's teaching the white belts fundamentals all day.
Yeah.
When Clayton goes to do a bow and arrow, not only has he done it a million times when he's been in class, he's done it a million times in competition, but he showed people how to do it a million times to where it's just automatic.
Yeah, coaching really is another plane of learning. It's something that I didn't understand until I started showing fundamentals, and so I started showing kids, till I started even teaching. Sometimes I would teach the advanced side. It's really, it teaches you to really understand the intricacies of every move. Like, you have to be able to teach somebody now. Like, obviously there's a lot of people who can just go and, okay, do a bow and arrow. Boom, they can do it. All right, now explain a bow and arrow. Then they're going to be like,
well, it feels like this.
you grab here. It's like, no, you open the lapel, you place it like this because this is the most efficient grip. You place your hand there. You turn like this because this is easy for people to learn. You're teaching for people to learn. You're not doing for people to see. You're teaching for people to learn. And that's something that Andre taught me. And that's like, I recently realized that I'm going to be, coaching a lot more. And that's
good.
I have to understand what Andre's doing and Andre's goal for the class. And when I do teach, I recently started teaching a little bit more on the beginner side of class, the fundamentals. And it's like, I try not to be like, hey, how am I doing? Because that's like, shows the signs of a bad, like a coach is not confident. But after class, I'll be like, hey, so did you guys understand the technique? Did you guys understand what I'm doing? And they're like, yeah, no, you did awesome. Thank you. Like, and I'm just, in my head, I'm just like, yes, score 1 for the big guy. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. And the thing is, too, if you're thinking about getting into jiu-jitsu and you're going around, you're shopping around, and you're looking at different gyms, when you're looking at your coach, understand this. You don't want a coach that is going to be your yes man. You don't want the coach that is always happy and nice. If you're doing something wrong, you don't want him to be like, oh, you're doing great. If you're doing something wrong, you want him to be like, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
And let me get the class around here because I can see a lot of you doing it wrong. And I can tell you I have to fix this or you're going to learn bad habits. Don't be afraid of a stern coach, because a stern coach, unless they're just a jerk, but a stern coach, in the moment when they're being stern because they want you to do it right. And then not only do they want you to do it right because their name is on the line, but they don't want you to go out there and get hurt. It's a it's a contact sport.
Yes.
And sometimes the difference between doing it wrong and doing it right is 1 inch on your grip. And so to have a coach that wants you to do it right, that's going to get in there and make you do it right, is the only way to get better. And so when Jake tells this story about Andre, telling him what he needed to hear, that's good coaching.
That's good. It's called being a good mentor.
Right.
I think that's the moment that I realize that I am not going to leave ever this coach, because that's something that any other coach didn't even do for me. I had a very personal relationship with my Taekwondo instructor, and I didn't really have that personal relationship with Carlos Farias, but I mean, we did things together, we did the barbecues and stuff like that, but he was just he was a yes man. And that's not disparaging in any way from Carlos, like his program or anything like that, but that's what he was to me.
Right.
So when Andre told me straight up that I was not doing what I should be doing and that I didn't want me to win because I did not work hard, I was like, record scratch, what I mean? Like, this is not right. What is happening? Sent my whole world into a spin, and it taught me honesty is the best policy. And that's how my dad is. I saw that through my dad. I was like, wait, my dad's just like that. Like, I've been around this my whole life. Why didn't I just, do it the right way at first? And I'm glad I caught that when I was 16 and not when I was, already trying to be the world champion.
People are more likely to forgive you for being too honest than they are for being too much of a liar.
Exactly.
So even if it hurts. Jake, who are you sponsored by? Let's give a shout out to some sponsors here.
All right, I'll give it a shout out. I'm sponsored by King's Kimonos, who I'm wearing the shirt right now.
I too wear King's kimonos. I think they're awesome.
King's Kimonos is sick. King's is stationed. It's Fighters Market and King's Kimonos they're owned by the same person. Amazing company. They make amazing gis. You can go and I think they're having a Father's Day sale right now. You can use the coupon code DAD. And I'm also sponsored by Lazy Lover Jiu-Jitsu, who's a clothing company. They make actually really nice clothing. I was dutifully shocked at how nice their clothing fit me. Because every time I go to a store, I'm like, all right, I'm going to raise my arms and it's going to come up to my belly and stuff like that. But they make clothes that actually fit taller people.
What's your height and weight real quick, just so people know?
I am 184 pounds and I am 6'4". Okay. So I'm a little bit on the slim side.
But a big boy.
A big boy, but slim. So, King of Kimonos, love them, great gi. Lazy Lover Jiu-Jitsu, great clothing. I'm also sponsored by Chill Fit Cryotherapy. It is on McClintock University in Tempe, and it is awesome. Like, you go in there, and there's been a lot of, like, misbelief about cryotherapy, in my opinion. A lot of people do ice baths, but you have to stay in an ice bath, in that miserable ice bath for, like 15, 20 minutes. That sucks, dude. And it's hard. It's a lot of, like, I gotta buy a bunch of ice and put in a bunch of water, and it sucks. It's not even...
And
for
you have
me,
to have
it
the tub. You have to have the big enough tub to get it done.
Exactly. And I just think that's like, okay, cool, not doing that. But I do cryotherapy. So you stand in this... There's different services that Chofit Cryo offers. One of which being what's called I think it's called the cryofacial or something like that, cryozone maybe. And it's like a gun that it ices and it shoots liquid nitrogen gas to your arm, right?
Yeah.
And it's safe because unless your skin, it cools your skin down to like 30 degrees Fahrenheit within like 2 minutes.
Jeez.
And you're not only supposed to do it for like 8 minutes at a time, but that 8 minutes is equivalent to around 30 minutes of icing. So if you have like a tennis elbow or something, you ice that all the time, it's going to be way more effective and cost effective. Well, maybe not cost effective because it is like, I think that's like $15 a session. I don't know for sure, but it's an amazing service and it's equivalent to that of icing. If you have a specific place, you can also do the equivalent of an ice bath. It does the same exact thing, the same like mathematical ratio of the gun to the ice bath. So you will get in this gigantic chamber that's up to your neck. Don't breathe in the liquid nitrogen gas. You will pass out, and that will be dangerous. Just
the only death from chirotherapy was from a woman who went in after hours who owned the place.
Yeah.
And she put her face. She wanted to get the chirotherapy on her face.
Yeah.
So she put her face down in the thing, and she passed out.
Yeah. You don't breathe it. You can hold your breath and go under there, but do not breathe it. That is a horrible, horrible idea. And you go in this chamber, and you stay in there for 3 minutes. And the lowest I've gone is negative 267 degrees Fahrenheit.
Sheesh.
That is really cold. But it cools your entire body. And after you get out, you feel yourself warm up and you almost feel your body like kickstarting again.
Nice.
And you feel the next day, you actually feel like fantastic. So if you get like a really hardcore workout in, you go in there, you do one session of that, and then you do 2 sessions, you're good.
Yeah.
And you feel great. When you go in, obviously you want to cover your fingers, especially if you do jiu-jitsu, you know that your knuckles are messed up, all right? Your knuckles are hurting, they're swollen, your fingers are probably crooked like this.
Yeah.
And they have you put on mittens, and the guy who owns it is actually a jiu-jitsu purple belt.
Cool.
Under Gustavo Dante, his name is Paul Manganaro. Follow at Chofit Cryo. Also follow at King's Kimonos and at Lazy Lover Jiu-Jitsu. And he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu purple belt, and he understands jiu-jitsu and like the pains around it and like why you're going in, you know what I mean? The lower back pain, the knee pain, whatever. You go in, you would get down to your skivvies, so you would be in your underwear, and they provide socks for you to wear, and they provide a robe for you to take off when you're in there, but to wear when you're not. There's females that work there. We're not trying to be rude.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Yeah, and it's an amazing service. I really highly recommend cryotherapy to not just jiu-jitsu athletes, but to any athlete. If you play football or basketball or tennis.
Yeah, anything that's strenuous on the body where you need recovery time, it's going to help you.
For sure. Other than that, I'm sponsored by the BJJ Gi Medic. If you are a jiu-jitsu practitioner and you do need your gi fixed, he will fix your gi. If you have a tear in your gi, if you have a rip in your pants, it don't matter. This guy does magic. I actually had a gi in my favorite gi ever. I got second at Pan Am's 2016 in this gi, right? So I have an emotional connection to this gi. I love it so much. It's a King's Ballistico.
That's my gi. That's the gi I love.
But it's not that one. It is an older version.
Older version?
Of older
Yeah, I got the
blue
2.0.
version. It has the green stitching in it.
Yeah, I've seen Andre has that. And
so
Clayton
good.
has that one too. Yeah, all you guys have it.
Yeah, but mine is a blue one. I have a
Okay.
white one too, but the white one, I just have it. I don't know. I like the drawstrings. I like the tight drawstrings as opposed to the pulley elastic drawstrings.
Okay.
And this gi, one day I'm training and this guy tugs on my lapel and rips it like all up on the shoulder right here. And oh man, I was so upset. I had to take the rest of the practice off. A, because I didn't have a gi with me, and B, because I was so upset. I was like, man, I was mad at the guy. I was like, man, how could you do that to my favorite gi? Like, and he's like, I didn't know it was your favorite gi, and I didn't try to rip it. And I was like, whatever, man.
Doing
Like,
jiu-jitsu.
and this guy, and I was told that there's no way it can be fixed and that it's over. And I didn't wear this gi for 3 months, right? It was just folded in my closet.
You couldn't throw it away yet.
I couldn't throw it away. I was like, no, I just gotta hold on to it. And then Matt tells me about this guy. Matt Zilla tells me about this guy, and he's like, yeah, this BJJ gi medic. He'll do it for $10. I'm like, yeah, but can he fix this, Matt? This guy he took off the. There's 2 layers of material on a gi, especially in the shoulder. There's like the rash guard-ish material that covers the rest of the kimono, and then there's a kimono. The kimono ripped, not the rash guard material. So this guy cut the rash guard material, placed Levi pants, a patch of that underneath, stitched the gi to the Levi pants, and then sewed the rash guard material back up, and it is stronger than before. And I'm over here thinking to myself, like,
it's over.
This guy's a genius. Oh my gosh. And then he recently reached out to me asking if he wanted to sponsor me. I said yes. He made me a super cool keychain on the brown belt keychain that I had. He made me that. And he's overall a very nice guy. Also does jiu-jitsu. It's amazing. I'm actually trying to get an ambassadorship from Adaptogen Science. It's a protein company. But other than that, I'm not. I'm sponsored by my parents.
Yeah, there you go.
Watson Transport.
Probably the most important of all the sponsors.
The most important of all the sponsors. Is the reason I'm able to go to so many tournaments.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I'm actually pretty cool. I'm halfway through. I'm halfway done with the goal. So Andre at the beginning of the year was like, I never make a New Year's resolution because every time I do, I shoot very high and I aim generally not as high. Yeah. And I also shoot generally not as high as I aim. So it's usually like, I'm like, yo, I'm going to go, let's say I'm saying, yo, I'm going to run a mile. I end up running like I say, I'll run a half, and then I end up running like a third. So that's what I did for the year. And then that's what I used to do. I would just not even try to, make my New Year's resolution. Like, whatever. And I would never make a realistic one. But Andre said, hey, he's like, I'm going to make you have 3 New Year's resolutions. I'm like,
3?
3? I can't even do 1. And he's like, you are going to finish 70% of your fights. I believe it's 70. He's probably going to chew me out if I don't know the exact metric. But I think he said 70% of my fights need to be finished from on top. So that's 1. I was like, wow, I am a guard player. Oh no. It's like I finish all my fights from the bottom usually, or I take the back. But I actually been doing it. I finished my first 5 fights at Worlds. 1 was an armbar from the top. Another one was a triangle that started out from the top, so that counts. 1 was an ankle lock that was on the bottom, so I'm not going to count that one. 1 was a bow and arrow that I passed the guard and took the back, so that's technically from the top. And another one was I believe it was another bow and arrow. Oh, no, another armbar from the top. So it worked out well. I did it all of them from the top except for 1. The other one was I have to become a better coach, a better partner for him to coach on as well, because as you know, he shows the techniques on me when he's showing to everybody else, because I am the usually the next highest belt, and he showed the techniques on me when he's instructing them. And then the third one was I have to do 24 tournaments this year.
Jeez, that's a lot.
I've done 11 so far.
Dude, nice.
I've placed at every one but 1 so far.
Nice, dude.
So, man, that is like, I've done so much competing this year. I'm glad that after Worlds is a little break. I'm glad that before Worlds was a little break, because what's interesting also that I thought was like, oh man, I'm going to lose Worlds, is I was like, man, I'm going to lose my first fight. I feel horrible. I had a period 2 weeks before Worlds, so I have 2 weeks off and then Worlds. 2 weeks off, Worlds. These are the 2 weeks off. These 4 tournaments were back to back to back to back weekends.
Sheesh.
All right, so I competed, traveled, competed, traveled, competed, traveled. I was like, man, I've cut weight the last 2 weekends in a row. This sucks. I haven't eaten. But I was like, yeah, I can win these tournaments. So the first weekend was, I believe it was just some tournament in, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was an open tournament. No, it was a Southwest Classic, I believe. I don't really know for sure right now. I can't really think off the top of my head because I know that I got to keep talking.
It's all good.
But I was like, that tournament, I did good. And then I went to a tournament in Vegas.
I remember the Vegas one.
Submitted my first 4 fights, and then I lost in the final to Gutiérrez Barbosa, who's amazing. Like, this guy's so good. I have a lot of respect for him as a competitor. I did ankle lock him at Worlds, so I'm happy about that. But I finally
higher belts with your leg locks.
finally got it off my chest. I was like, man, this guy beat me twice. He beat me at the tournament before Worlds, San Diego Open as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this guy took 2 tournaments away from me. Like, come on, man. The tournament, so it was that tournament, it was Vegas Open, and then it was Tucson, a Tucson tournament in which I took quadruple gold in, which is pretty cool.
That's
and
awesome,
I won $600 from that tournament.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, I was pretty happy. I won both the open divisions, and Tucson was like, Tucson and the rest of Arizona are like they're different. So Tucson's like its own little island in the desert of Arizona, and everybody else is like over here.
Yeah.
And Tucson knows me very well because there's only like maybe 5 reputable gyms out there.
Yeah.
And I go to Tucson. And there was like, when I get there, everybody's like talking, and I felt like a celebrity because people were like, yo, man, we're so glad you came. Like, I'm so excited to see you compete. And I'm just like, oh, God.
Yo, Tucson, y'all heard about me.
Yeah, yo, Tucson, what up? And this, like, the promoter of the event was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for coming. Like, we're so excited to have you fighting. Like, I can't wait to see you do the open. And I was like, thanks, man, I appreciate it. And I ended up submitting 10 fights. All 10 fights.
Awesome.
I got quadruple gold, all victories by submission. And I was like, oh my gosh, just went there and beasted in Tucson. Awesome. And everybody came up to me like, dude, you are nuts. Like, who are you? Some of the kids were like, yo. Some of the kids wanted like a picture with me.
Yeah.
And that felt so cool.
What is your Instagram handle right now in case people want to follow you?
Oh, my Instagram handle is @JakeWatson_BJJ. No spaces, no capitals.
And Twitter and Facebook?
Twitter @JakeWatson_BJJ. Facebook @JakeWatson_BJJ. Like, I just try to keep it I've met a guy who like was like, his Twitter was one thing, his Instagram was another thing, and his Facebook was another thing.
That's why I keep mine all the same at Jesse Noble Smith.
Yeah, easy.
Keep it simple.
Like, come on, man. You're trying to follow. I'm trying to make myself a brand. I'm not trying to make people confused and how to follow me on stuff. It's not a private Instagram account. You know? I think I'm at like 1,470 followers right now.
You've got a lot.
Doing good.
I'm about like 730 or something.
Nice. Hey,
I'm following like 3,000.
You're more than my dad. My dad has like 55.
There you go. There you go.
I've fought people who have like 25,000 followers, and I've submitted them, and I'm just like, man, this guy has so many followers. Why do I not have that many followers? I'm like,
it'll come in time.
It will. Yeah, I'm trying to build myself. Yeah, I don't.
No, but I'm. It's been great to have you here, Jake.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Trying to think if there's anything else that we wanted to cover that we haven't gotten to, but. Yeah, Jake and I, well, one thing before we close, when I first started training with Jake and Andre and Jake, it was Power MMA.
Yes.
And about less than a month ago, Power MMA closed. The pro team there, the MMA pro team there went to...
They're just training in a couple temporary locations right now. Basically, every discipline in that school had to branch off and find their own temporary locations until they can have a permanent location. From what I'm hearing, we're all on our way to finding our own permanent location, which should be awesome.
Yeah.
So,
but it's been interesting going from an MMA gym to just a jiu-jitsu gym, and the focus is a little more intense. It's I really like it. I'm glad that I stuck with Andre through all that. I was distressed when I heard that Power was closing, and then I thought, Andre's going to go somewhere. He's going to take Clayton and Jake with him, and I'll just go where they go.
Yeah, I was excited. It was bittersweet because I grew up in that gym. A lot of emotion has gone into that gym. I've found myself as a person in that gym. I've had a lot of life significant events like first girlfriend, first, all in that gym. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then to like leave it, I was excited for the future because I knew that I wanted to be an only jiu-jitsu gym. I knew that I wanted to be a part of something that was just jiu-jitsu. I wanted us to be able to build really, like we were building in someone's space. Now we're going to be building in our space.
Right.
And to me, that's just it was super bittersweet because that was our home for a while.
There's a great community there.
Exactly.
You know, like,
and again, like going back to it being a family. This is a family thing, and it really touched my life, and I feel like it made me learn how to touch others' lives through jiu-jitsu. And
absolutely.
Man, I'm excited for the future. You're gonna be hearing about Marakaba BJJ for years.
Yeah,
years to come.
And just in case you want to check out Andre online, it's MACARABA.
No.
No?
That's not Makarava.
No, it's MARA. Okay, I'm gonna have to edit that out.
Now keep it. MARACABABJJ.
Yeah.
No spaces, no cap.
When Andre listens to this, he's gonna be like, "What the heck, dude?"
Nah, you're like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But
I enunciated it spectacularly.
Yes,
I sounded great saying it wrong.
Maracaba, Jiu-Jitsu Brasileiro, equipe de competição.
But definitely, I like our gym. I like how we've got guys that are huge. We've got guys that are smaller but super knowledgeable. We've got a great mix to roll with. We got some genetic freaks.
Yeah.
That have some good knowledge behind it. That for me, that was the main thing I was worried about because I knew that there was a core of guys that were going to stay together.
Yeah.
But when you the first gym I went to was owned by a blue belt, and he had maybe 3 other blue belts there working with him, and those were the upper belts.
Yeah.
The rest were white belts, and they're serious about it. They're doing as good a job as they can. But when you go to a class and you've got 3 brown belts, at least 1 or 2 black belts there, you've got 6 purple belts, 8 blue belts, and then you've got 10 or 12 white belts, you're just not getting the level of intensity that you should be getting rolling if you don't have a bunch of higher belts to go with.
Yeah.
You're not going to be learning the same type of good habits that you would if you're going to be rolling with white belts all the time and blue belts. And not saying that blue belts don't know what they're doing. Blue belts are legit, but Andre explained it to me this once. It's whoever messes up the least.
Yes.
And white belts mess up all the time, so it's easy to get them because they mess up. Blue belts mess up a little less. Purple belts, a little less than that. Brown belts, a little less than that. They're at the point where they're not messing up very much.
And black belts sometimes a little less than that, or sometimes a lot less than that.
Yeah. And so essentially when you're working out with somebody who is not making as many mistakes as you or a person that's at your level, that's only going to be a good mix for you. So if you're not in Arizona and you are looking for a jiu-jitsu gym, make sure it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I don't even think they do Japanese jiu-jitsu anymore. I don't think that's the thing.
I've heard of some places doing it.
I heard Miguel at the gym. He's a white belt at our gym from Cuba?
Peru.
Oh my gosh, he's from Peru?
Yeah.
Holy moly. Yeah, I noticed because he does have the when he says his H's.
Yeah.
But he talked about doing Japanese jiu-jitsu. I was like, man, they still do that? I thought that was dead.
No, I think it's in California
now. It's like ninjutsu, dude.
I was listening to the Jocko podcast. Shout out to Jocko Willink. And he gave the same just recently, within the last couple months, he was like, if you're going to do jiu-jitsu, make sure it's Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
One thing that Andre said to me, and I came up with my own analogy that I'll share in a sec, off of this, was Andre told me when it comes to people in jiu-jitsu, like when you're competing, or especially when competing, I just want to use this from a competition standpoint, you're going to be going with people who have been that belt for 1 to 2 to maybe 3 years max until black belt. So like white belt, they'll have been a white belt from either 1 or 3 years. Let's say 2 because that's more realistic. 1 to 2 years. Blue belt, you'll be competing against people 1 to 2 years blue belt. Purple belt, 1 to 2 years purple belt. Brown belt, 1 to 2 years brown belt. Black belt, 1 to however long.
15, 20 years.
15, 20 years at black belt. That means they've been, I could go, for those of you who are familiar with jiu-jitsu, I'm a medium heavyweight right now because I just feel like fighting that. But by the time I'm black belt, I plan on being a heavyweight. I could walk on the mat at a tournament and fight Leandro Lo, who is the best right now. I could fight him first match. Like that's
Yeah.
what could happen.
Right.
And I'm just gonna have to. All right, well, here you go. Like, let's go, dude. Nothing to
Okay,
lose.
let's jump into this one.
Let's do it. And I would have to just deal with it. But and off of that realization, I came up with the analogy like jiu-jitsu is like life, right? So when you're a white belt, you're a baby. You are born and you're just like, whoa, what is life? You're walking around, you're touching things, you're licking your lips, like, whoa, dude,
Watching YouTube,
I have
asking stupid
hands.
questions.
I have, yeah, that's the equivalent of like watching YouTube and like, what is an armbar? What is this?
Yeah.
At blue belt, you're like a young boy. You can say some sentences, you can speak, you can look at people, you understand words, you understand what's going on around you, but you're not that good at life yet. You're still being provided things.
Mhm.
When you're a purple belt, you're like a teenager. You're like, yo, I've done this before.
I got this.
I got this. I got this. Like you're asking girls out. You're like, yo, life is good. You're out here learning techniques. You're doing your own game plan. When you're a brown belt, you're like an adult, right? You're an adult. You know what's going on. You have a job. You're established, and you understand. You're wise, but you're not that wise. When you're a black belt, you're like, yo, life is sick, dude. Like I know everything. Like I am settled for if a mistake happens in my life, I can deal with it. Like
Yeah.
if there's a tragedy, I have the means to work around it.
Yeah.
And when you're a red belt, which is the final belt, that you don't get until after 50 years of coaching as a black belt, by the way, so you're basically
Yeah.
dead. You're just an old man that's, all right, I'm not going to do anything in life. I'm retired. I'm just going to impart my knowledge on other people. That's pretty much what red belt is. I mean,
And isn't there a limited number of red belts in the world? Isn't there less than 100?
there's not a limit to it. But man, I don't even know. There's a lot of coral belts. There's a lot of red and black belts, red and white belts. Red belt though is like, man, there's not a lot. I rarely see red belt.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I mean, Elo Gracie, the guy who started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with Carlos Gracie, he's like, he's the last one I heard of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've never I've never seen one.
I think I've met Mestre Hoyler Gracie. He's actually has the same birthday as me. Shout out to Hoyler Gracie
That's
having
cool.
the same birthday as me. And I met him, and I was like, I am not easily starstruck because I'm around Andre Galvão and Leandro Lo and Keenan Cornelia, all these
Yeah.
big name jiu-jitsu guys all the time. So I'm like rarely like I was with Gabriel. This is a funny story. I remember I was with Gabriel in I just want to say this real quick. I was with Gabriel at the hotel. Gabriel de los Santos.
Yeah,
at our
Gabriel's
gym.
awesome.
Brown belt in judo. He we're walking through our hotel at Worlds, and Andre Galvão was with his wife holding her hand, like walking, and I'm like, oh, and he's like, hey, tudo bem? And I'm like speaking Portuguese to him because I know him. I've competed
Yeah.
against his students. He knows my name. He knows how I grapple. Like I've known this guy a little bit. I don't know him, but I'm acquaintances. And Andre's like, or Gabriel's like, can I get your picture? And Andre's like, sure, man. I'm like he's
That's funny.
it's the
Yeah,
Gabriel.
Gabe's a great guy. Gabe's one of those guys that like I had my first roll with Gabe this week,
Really?
and
That must have been fun.
yeah, Gabe's a nice guy, so I knew he wasn't going to tear my head off, but I also knew that he was perfectly capable
Of
of tearing my head off, especially being a brown belt in judo. And a lot of times when you practice, you're starting on the ground or you're starting on your knees, whereas in competitions you start on your feet. And if you have some judo there, I haven't competed yet, but you can only assess by looking at it and watching it. If you have some judo in the first 20 seconds of your competition, it's going to go very well for you. So like my first thought is, if I can get past the first 20 seconds with Gabe, maybe I won't get beat up too bad.
Right?
And no, he was great though. I mean, and the thing is too, is like when you roll with a higher belt, they're going to tap you out pretty quick a couple times. They're going to let you know where their skill set's at, and they're going to let you know. But after a while, like, it was especially apparent when I first started. Now I'm just trying to go the whole time, and I don't even realize it. But they'd tap me out. We go for 5 minutes. They tap me out 2 or 3 times in the first minute and a half, and all of a sudden, we're going back and forth. And I'd be like, okay, this person didn't just get worse at jiu-jitsu in the last couple minutes. A lot of times the higher belt levels will kind of downplay it a little bit and let you get some of these moves and kind of go easy on you just for the sake of you getting those reps in. You know, so you may not have done it right, you may not have done it flawless, but you did it. You passed that guard, or
I'm not trying to discourage.
right, And Gabe did that to me, but it was still a battle the whole time.
Yeah.
And he was awesome. Didn't throw me. I'm grateful
Good. No,
for that.
the best thing you can do against a judo player is pull guard.
Yeah. Oh, God.
That's what I do. I fought
Yeah.
a judo player at Worlds, and I was like, I saw him throwing this guy before me. I was like, I'm not gonna let that happen to
Yeah.
me.
No,
Like,
thanks.
I'm gonna get his grip and sit down. Are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah, there's another guy at our gym named Jeremy who's a purple belt, I think. Maybe he's a blue belt.
He's
Is
a
he
blue belt. Yes.
And I think he worked at the Olympic Training Center.
I believe so. He's a very talented wrestler.
Yeah,
Like,
and he was the guy that if you have an Olympic wrestler who's training all day, there's going to be a group of maybe 5 to 7 guys that circle in with him, and Jeremy was one of those guys. And it was open mat one Saturday, and he and I were getting ready for a roll, and he's like, "Oh, do you want to start on your feet?" I was like, "No, I don't want to start on my feet, not with you." And Clayton was over here, was watching us like the coaches do, and that's it with jiu-jitsu. Your coaches will keep a very close eye on you to make sure you're doing things right, also to keep you from getting hurt in a intense situation. But Clayton just kind of smiled and goes, "You're smart. That's a good idea."
You're smart.
I if I were you, I wouldn't want to start standing up with Jeremy
yeah.
either. But yeah, you can definitely tell when someone comes into the gym and they've got some judo or some wrestling behind them, because
Especially if you watch them first.
yeah, like I said, they're grappling hard and they're moving great, but they're just not finishing anything. So, but great sport, definitely an addiction. Yeah, I can't really say
I don't know much
anything
else.
bad
yeah.
about it. Yeah, it's
Well, I mean, the only drawback is if you're not into the idea of, some pains waking up in the morning.
yeah.
I mean, you gotta. There's a lot of you don't have to sacrifice anything major. What you're gonna have to sacrifice is, your knees may hurt. There is a possibility of injury, just like any other sport.
Your fingers will get tired.
Your fingers are gonna get. Oh man, your fingers are gonna get beat up. You're gonna go to bed with some back pains. It's like, hey man, it's just like any other sport. But
Might
you're
get
gonna
some
be
cauliflower ear at some point.
cauliflower ear is a rite of passage, mind you.
Yeah.
Cauliflower-
Don't get me wrong.
I'm just kidding. I don't believe in that. Cauliflower just hurts.
I don't.
Okay?
If my ears get cauliflower, I might.
Show it off a little.
I might not be too worried about draining it right away. I might let it fester a little bit before I go have it looked at. I'm just saying.
When I was like 13 or 14, I was training at the Lions and I got cauliflower, and I was like, yo, I'm getting it, and then I tried to go to bed that night and I couldn't sleep on the side that I like to sleep on, and I was like,
I'm over this.
this sucks. Like first night, I was like, this is stupid, and I was like, Dad, this is hurts, and he's just like, well, no, it's not as cool as it looks, right? But now it's like my cauliflower, it never like explodes. It kind of just gets worse and worse over time, just gets thicker.
Let me see it real quick.
Like, it's not even that bad. I had it worked on.
Yeah, it's not too bad at all.
Yeah. It's like, only thing I can say about it is this year's like detailed, and this year's not detailed.
It's a little blurry. The other one's clear.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a little blurry. That's it.
Yeah.
But that's because we have a friend. We don't really communicate no more. But we had a friend who, he was a doctor, a former plastic surgeon.
Right.
And he went upstairs in the office. He numbed my ear and he cut it open, squeezed the gunk out, and stitched it upstairs of the gym.
That's awesome.
And I'm just like sitting there like crying because I was scared of needles. But
yeah.
I just remember being like, oh my gosh, like I have this sponge in my ear. I have all this
is some
disgusting crap.
battlefield fixing up right here.
Yeah, and then I waited too long to until I let it go. Like it was here, it was filled, and it was really fat, and it was under here too.
Yeah.
Like the crevice of my ear, and I remember like not waiting long enough to get the stitches out, and I was like, Doc, I want the stitches. I want to train because I had to train with a Cosmonaut helmet on. It really sucked, and he was like, okay. He's like, cool, like, because he didn't care.
Yeah.
And like, he was like, hey, man, I'm not going to stop the kid from training. And I took him out, and then that practice went right back up. And I was like, Jesus, man.
That's how Ryan got his. He's got two, but the one that's bigger than the others, it was right up here in the crevice.
Yeah.
And then when he came into power, it tore off that one and just pop.
A blue belt gym, Michael Martin, has
Michael's got a good one.
Just the most disgusting looking cauliflower, because he tried to drain it, did it wrong, and then it got stuck like that.
Dude,
it was like, man.
He was one of the first guys I saw when I noticed the cauliflower. I was like, oh, dang.
Yeah, no, he did it way wrong. He did it wrong, dude. It was like, come on, Mike. That's not what this is about. Like, you gotta work on that.
I asked him about that. He was like, I was so stoked when it happened.
Yeah, I saw it was a big purple pinata, and I was like, oh my goodness, man, are you okay? And he's like, what? And I was like, do you not feel your ear? He like pinched it. He's like, oh my gosh. He's like, do I have cauliflower right now? And I was like, are you excited? He's like, yeah, I'm excited. I was like, dude, that's going to hurt so bad. Are you kidding me? Next day he comes in, he's like, bro, I couldn't even sleep last night.
Yeah.
But I'm still happy. I was like, you didn't sleep. You have a job. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. If I got cauliflower in my right ear, that would be. Actually, I'd go back and forth all night. I'll wake up and I'll switch over.
For me, I sleep. Okay, so like my pillow is like in the dead center of my bed, but I sometimes don't even use my pillow, especially when the pillow gets hot. There's like the corner of the bed, and I'll put my face right on the corner, my right ear on the corner, and then I'll just let my left arm dangle down, and then I'll just pass out like that. I don't know why. I sleep really weird. Yeah. When I one day have a romantic partner sleeping next to me, I'm just gonna probably
get a bigger bed.
Get a bigger bed. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Right on, man. Hey, Jake, it has been a wonderful podcast.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for coming in as my guest.
Man, of course. I hope to be in again. This is
Absolutely. We'll bring you in a couple times a year.
Cool.
Talk about more about jiu-jitsu, talk about other things, talk about life.
Bro, that's what it's all about. Jiu-jitsu
right.
is life. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely.
That was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Cool.